Welcome to another episode of the Bandage Podcast, a weekly wrap-up of the most trending healthcare news. Each week, we'll discuss the latest in healthcare, health IT, and compliance.
In this week's episode, we discuss radiation in Kentucky, prostate cancer data. Let's wrap things up. This is episode 97 for the week of August 9th. I'm Matt Moneypenny.
And I'm Maria Mulgrew.
Before we get started, our diagnosis code for this week is T56.91, or toxic effect of unspecified metal, accidental, parentheses, unintentional.
You will be quizzed on that.
Yeah, so it says toxic effect of unspecified metal, and it's unintentional, so this is very ambiguous, Maria. It makes no sense to me. It's like, this could be lead, could be copper.
Right.
We don't know.
It's like, don't look at me. Like, it's not my fault. I just, I don't know what
I don't place blame on me. I'm just an ICD-10 code.
Exactly.
The only thing we do know is that it's a metal and it's accidental, which is also unintentional. So I feel like that's redundant. And I think I've said that before for other ICD-10 codes in the past episodes, but I never understand what's the difference between accidental and unintentional. Is there something that says intentional accidental? I don't know.
And that's a lot. It's early in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to need a couple weekdays to digest that question.
A couple weekdays. Anyways, let's get into the news. First up, we have radon radiating from Kentucky. The Kentucky Geological Survey, or KGS, and the Bridging Research Efforts and Advocacy Toward Health Environments, or BREATHE research group at the University of Kentucky have collaborated to create an interactive radon hazard map available to the public. You see, Kentucky has a high rate of smokers, and the radon gas drastically increases the chance of developing lung cancer. The radon map is available on the internet and combines geologic mapping, radon home test kits, and color-coded hazard values to help residents understand their risk. The researchers found that the radon mapping and communication strategy saved approximately 1 premature lung cancer death and between $3.4 million and $8.5 million per year.
Wow.
Wow, indeed. So, Kentucky looks like a chicken wing on the geological map for those people who don't know their elementary school geography.
Pull up Google.
Has radiation coming through it. So, that's bad news bears.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure.
Bad news bears. I'd say it's not so great.
So, if you were alive in the 60s,
right,
and you have yourself a handy dandy Geiger counter, pull that bad boy off, dust it off, and do some research in your area, or pull up the map because this is 2021 and you don't need a Geiger counter. You don't live in Chernobyl, but you might have one laying around. Who knows?
I know. I got 5. Got 5.
You've got 5 Geiger counters.
I collect. That's my thing. It's like Beanie Babies for me.
That's actually awesome. I would like to purchase one from you.
Cool. That's gonna be like so much money. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, all jokes aside, Maria, I think radon's bad for. I mean, obviously, it says it's bad for smokers, but I feel like it's also bad for everybody. But if you happen to be a smoker, again, Geiger counter, or just pull up the map. That's all I got.
If you need a Geiger counter, I got you. But it's gonna be a lot
Contact
of money.
Maria.
That you have to trust that I have it. I don't have pictures on me, and then send me the money and I'll.
Yeah. She only accepts Bitcoin so that it's untraceable. If you want to get in contact with us, our email is on our website at etactics.com. I'm just kidding. Don't actually do that. She's not actually selling Geiger counters.
No.
This is just a bit, guys.
But I would sell my Beanie Babies.
Oh, okay. All right. So if you're interested in Beanie Babies, cash only.
Okay. Yeah. Very good. No, but that's pretty cool. I mean, that they can detect exactly, where the differences in radon is.
That's true.
And
I
now
don't know how they do it.
I was about to ask how they might do that, but
maybe they just mark it manually.
I don't know.
Maybe they have those civil engineers who are on the side of the road with that little device that looks like I don't know, it just measures stuff. Maybe it's like that and it just pings, Maybe. It's possible. It's very Minecrafty.
That is very Minecrafty. That radon is silent but deadly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Data for prostate cancer. Researchers at the University of Michigan discovered that a commercially available genomic test called Decipher Biopsy could help identify prostate cancer in patients who are at a high risk of aggressive prostate cancer progression. To improve patient care, researchers are using predictive analytics to determine what type of care an individual should receive. This can either be an active surveillance method or moving forward with surgery or radiation. With these techniques and discoveries, providers can use the predictive analytic test to determine what method of care is best for newly diagnosed patients with prostate cancer, potentially improving outcomes and the quality of care.
Prostate cancer is bad. All right.
It is.
We all know this. Another fun fact, Maria, is I heard this from my social studies teacher in high school, so I don't know how accurate it is.
Okay.
He seemed like a smart guy, so I'll vouch for him on that.
Yeah.
But he said that apparently it is guaranteed that all men at some point in their life will get prostate cancer. It's just a matter of how old they are. So like you might die before you get it.
Right.
But you're going to get it at some point. So,
and
yeah,
I'm not a doctor, but I've heard that it's, if you catch it early, it's very treatable.
Right.
So
I feel like that might be the case with a lot of cancers.
And that's fair, yeah, for sure.
But I don't know. I feel like I don't know if there's any. That's the problem, right? Is the symptoms part, which is why guys need to get those colonoscopies when they're like 50.
Right.
It sounds terrible, and it probably is terrible.
Save your life.
Speaking of colonoscopies,
yeah.
No, actually, though, there are companies. Have you seen those companies where they like send you everything you need to do for like a DIY colonoscopy kit, and then you just mail it back in?
Sorry, the use of DIY. I'm thinking of a colonoscopy, but also I'm thinking of Pinterest right now.
Right, exactly.
I've actually never heard of that.
Okay, so there is companies that do that, which is cool. It's convenient. Yeah. It's a new way of thinking. It's kind of like a trend.
Sure.
And it's supposed to be discreet, right? But the problem is anybody, they have the logo on the box. So if anybody has seen commercials for this organization, they know, your neighbors know that what you're about to do.
You see Bob like across the street watching you bring in your package and slowly shakes his head and walks back to his home.
Yeah, it's like
well, I know what he's
gotta hand it to Bob. He's looking out for his health, which is good, but also very embarrassing.
I mean, yeah, necessary though, and
necessary.
Less embarrassing, I'm sure, for a lot of people to do it at home by themselves than to go and have a whole wait in a waiting room. I couldn't imagine waiting in a waiting room being like, well, here it goes. Here it is.
Yeah.
Now or never.
At least they don't announce it like it's a bingo card. Like they just throw it out there. Like, who's here for the colonoscopy? And you just hang your head in shame.
Shut up. Stop it.
So, but to bring this back,
right?
A commercially available genomic test. That's pretty neat. It kind of goes. It's like the same kind of idea, except it's not necessarily a colonoscopy. It kind of feels like it could be, and it's just like generic, but it seems like it's just more of a test, which is neat. And I hope that they take what we're talking about here and make it discreet packaging, because that's also not something that people want their neighbors to know about. Is like, hey, I'm testing for prostate cancer.
Right. Yeah. So. Just like I don't even know. Put a symbol of cake on it. You got a box of cake. People are like, wow, this guy's very
happy birthday.
Yeah, exactly. You just get all these after that.
They're like, wait, John's birthday isn't until April and it's February. This is fishy.
Maybe it's his dog's birthday.
Hopefully it's accurate.
Right.
And anytime that's good news, anytime that there's research on cancer that's in a good, positive light, I'm on board.
I agree.
And with that, let's go into our next segment.
BREACH, Breach Patrol. It's a breach! All of the latest cybersecurity breaches.
Welcome to Breach Patrol, where we talk about the latest breaches all across the world. First up, we have urology data gets flushed down the drain.
There it is.
Get it? A Wisconsin urology practice is notifying patients of an email hacking incident that exposed patients' health data. The Wisconsin Institute of Urology announced last week that a cybercriminal hacked into an employee email account, exposing patients' protected health information. The practice became aware of suspicious activity related to the employee's email last May. The cyber attack impacted patients' information, including dates of birth, medical treatments, medical diagnosis, and health insurance information. The Institute set up a call center to answer questions and concerns related to the data breach. They are also recommending that all impacted individuals review their account statements and monitor their credit reports.
Woof.
Woof, indeed. So this is a specialist organization, so I can't imagine that's a very huge organization in terms of how many employees there are, which just goes to show you that people who are hacking are trying to target healthcare organizations because of the information that they could get. And they're especially targeting those smaller organizations because, stereotypically it's easier to get into those systems.
Sure.
The organization is taking the right steps in this particular instance. You're required by law, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, to, provide some sort of remediation in area for people to contact you regarding the breach that happened. And they also notified media outlets, which is also good.
Right.
A lot of times what we see, Maria, and since this is your first podcast, I don't expect you to know this, but a lot of times what we see is whenever there's a breach, a lot of organizations will set up credit monitoring reports, which is cool.
Yeah. The
problem with that is usually it's only about like a 12-month span, which is a long time, sure. But since every breach is kind of having this sort of implementing this 12-month period, if I was the hacker, now I'm not, if you're a hacker and you're listening to this,
get out of here.
Yeah, this isn't, bleep this out because it's a very good idea. But if I was a hacker, I would hack this organization, get their data, wait 12 months after the credit monitoring report offering is over.
Right.
And then start to use that information.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of like you wait it out and reap the benefits. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're doing all the right stuff.
It's
so rough. I couldn't imagine. Oh my God. I'd be so upset.
And I think it always sucks when breaches happen.
Yeah.
And I said this before, it seems like at this point, your sensitive information isn't necessarily sensitive information anymore.
Right.
Because there's no possible way that if these giant organizations, obviously this one isn't a giant organization, but there's no possible way that, if this massive credit monitoring company gets breached, has millions of companies or organizations that work with them and millions of clients and all that information, and they lose 2 million records, if they can't keep track of their data, there's no way that Mr. Hacker can keep track of their data either. So it's like, I feel like the chances of you getting breached are higher than the chances of your breached data getting used.
That's fair.
Because there's so much data that's breached.
Sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. Wild.
Definitely wild.
Yeah.
Crazy. And I'm just having a thought, and it really only somewhat has something to do with this. So feel free to use this or not. I'm thinking about data. I was watching something yesterday. Did you know that in the universe, data is the only thing that cannot be destroyed?
That's pretty abstract. I don't really. that's like
I said, you don't.
No. Keep it in.
No.
I know.
No, I went down a YouTube rabbit hole. So it's if like data were to go into a black hole,
sure,
it would not necessarily get stuck in there because it doesn't necessarily have. I don't have the terms, but
doesn't have mass.
No, it doesn't have like a certain horizon. I think it's like I don't know.
Right.
I have a degree. So anyways, data will go into the black hole and it can come out as different data. It doesn't get destroyed.
Okay.
It's just
nice.
Altered. Yeah. That's the theory. Obviously we haven't been able to.
That's wild. So if you want to test this theory out, send an email to blackhole@gmail.com and see what happens.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this is totally not a phishing attempt.
And it's not me on the other side at all.
Just stealing your information.
No. That's my hacking. That's how I do it. I'm just a black hole. Paxton nationwide hack. Current and former employees of Paxton Media Group received a letter over the weekend reporting that their names, addresses, and other personal information had been revealed in a data breach. Paxton Media Group owns newspapers in Kentucky, North Carolina, Arkansas, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee. The company identified suspicious activity on its computer back in March. This led them to open an investigation that determined the company was the victim of a cyber attack that allowed an unauthorized actor to copy information from the system between February 6th and March 20th.
So this is kind of interesting because it's like a breach, but since they're like a media, I feel like this is kind of like this hacker was like kind of like a troll. Because he didn't just tell them like via email that I have your information. He sent them a letter. Yeah. So it's like, is it a handwritten letter? Is it like a ransom letter? Where
it's like a magazine cutout.
Yeah, with different fonts and stuff. It's like, what is going on? That's wild. Maybe he thought it'd be more effective because they're a news organization.
Maybe he's just trying to be artistic with it.
Yeah. Sometimes they got a little artistic traits to them, I guess.
He's quirky.
So this particular breach doesn't seem like there was that much information that was necessarily taken, names and addresses and other personal information. Who knows what other personal information is in this case? But I mean, you could arguably probably find more information on Facebook just by, going from profile to profile and finding names and addresses that way than the personal information that was leaked from this small newspaper organization.
Very true.
Although I guess it's not necessarily small because they've got a lot of states. But I mean, if traditional media outlets didn't have a hard enough time trying to figure out how to advance themselves in the modern world, Maria, now they got to deal with this breach. I don't know. It's tough stuff.
It's hard out here.
Yeah, it's hard out here to be a traditional journalist.
Really, it sure is. That's why I keep it in my personal journal, and I'm my own critic, and I think I'm doing great.
Are you the person who sent the letter to this Paxton nationwide?
Off the record? No.
The Paxton Media Group? Okay, good. Off the record? No.
Yeah.
I was worried there for a second. It was me.
You could tell people it was me. I think that would be neat, like all.
It's like a Scooby-Doo moment where they're like, off the record, rips off the mask. It was me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, and that's it for this week's wrap up of your weekly healthcare news. I'm Matt Moneypenny.
And I'm Maria Muldrow.
And we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Bandage Podcast produced by eTactics.